Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Beyond Influence. It is a beautiful Thursday out here in Seattle, and I am very fortunate to be joined by a really awesome creator that I met in Cannes, actually. And I think Cannes was a really, really cool opportunity for brands to connect, everybody to grow, but also for creators to meet each other. So thank you today for joining us, Francesca Murray. How are you?
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking, wow, this is like one of the first concrete things to come out of Cannes is I have a podcast interview now with you, which is so cool that like those kind of connections can happen.
Yeah, right. I've really, really loved, I had a great time at Cannes. How was your Cannes experience? It seemed like you were enjoying it.
Oh my God. It was my first time and I really genuinely didn't know what to expect. Thankfully, I have like friends that have been before. And so they were giving me tips, but it's still, it's like indescribable the experience that you have there. Um, and I'm actually glad that I went with an open mind. And I was thinking about too, I had applied for like a few different scholarships and fellowships to have it funded. And those didn't work out. And I just decided to go anyway. And in hindsight, I think I was meant to go on my own terms because then I wasn't tied to like a particular activation or anything like that. And I could really, for that first experience, just go where the wind blows, meet someone. Hey, what are you doing after this? And then you just end up like at some kind of party with a celebrity performing, or you just really, you never know. So I'm glad that I went with an open mind and a pretty open schedule.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool idea because I think a lot of people do want to go with a brand for the sake of, the financial aspect of it. But there are limitations, you know what I'm saying? So I think, especially when it comes to your time and your availability, your flexibility, all the logistics, when you go with the ability to just like navigate on your own and with free mind, I think it definitely adds to the experience in a really cool way. So, I mean, you said that a bunch of your friends had been already. Like, when did you decide to go to Cannes and how did it all come to fruition?
So I decided last year, actually, like pretty much as it was happening last year, I noticed that a lot of social media platforms were present and creators that I follow were there. And I had heard of Cannes because before I was a content creator, I was a publicist. So I kind of understand both sides. So it's something that I had heard of before, but I really thought that Cannes Lions was like really industry, high level marketing execs, which it is. That's a big part of it. But to see that they were starting to embrace creators, and they had, I think, the creator track at Cannes Lions was for the first time last year. So I said, okay, this is my chance to get in early, be one of the first creators to go and like show people how I did it. And so that's what motivated me to go, was just seeing that they were starting to kind of like open up a little bit about it, about content creators in the creator economy.
Yeah, that's super dope. So, I mean, let's take it all back. I think when we had our conversation, when we first met, you told me a little bit about how your creator life came together, and I thought it was a really cool story because you had this realization as you were going along within you just like your life's journey. You were like, oh my goodness, I'm getting to do really cool things. And obviously, as someone who I think you fit into, a micro creator in terms of like overall size, you're starting to realize like it really doesn't matter how many followers you are. And I feel like that's something that I really love to consistently like talk about and focus on. Right. And so just even at a high level, just tell us a little bit about you, your creator background, and why you decided to really just jump headfirst into content creation.
Dive in. And I dove in at a time where it was like weird to be putting your life on the internet, and nobody thought it would ever lead to anything or career. So as I said, I actually have a degree in journalism and PR. And so I thought I wanted to be a high level Hollywood publicist, corner office in Hollywood. And I tried it and I was like, whoa, this looks a lot more glamorous than it actually is. But I had the skill set. So I said, you know what if I just take these skills of propping someone else up, basically, and apply them to myself and just try to start a brand with, at the time, blogging. So I had a travel blog, One Girl, One World. It's still One Girl, One World across all social platforms. I've expanded now beyond travel, but I think starting in that niche and really like pioneering a niche is how I've been able to come so far in my career without having a whole lot of followers. Like my goal has never been to have a million followers or something like that. I've always been very relationship oriented, relationship with
Mm-hmm.
my audience, relationship with people who work at brands so that
Mm-hmm.
I could have a real brand, like
Yeah.
people know what One Girl, One World is. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I started as a travel blogger, evolved into an Instagrammer,
Mm-hmm.
hesitantly joined TikTok, um, and have since had like what's been really cool actually about going for this and having this career is the unexpected opportunities I've had. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've now been able to walk on red carpets as talent, which is
Wow.
something I never could have imagined. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember escorting celebrities on the red carpet and I had to like
Yeah.
stand back and try not to be seen, like a very behind
Mm-hmm.
the scenes person. And then to be invited to these opportunities, like I went to the Grammys with Google Pixel as a part of Team
Wow.
Pixel, which
Yeah.
was crazy. Never would have like thought that that was a possibility. And again, all while being like a micro influencer by
Mm-hmm.
definition.
Yeah.
But your actual influence and like your numbers don't always they don't always, I guess, not add up, but like you shouldn't let,
Correlate.
yeah, they don't always correlate. Like you shouldn't
Yeah.
let where you fall on the follower scale dictate the opportunities you can have and how far you can go.
Yeah. 100%. I think that that's what's a really beautiful kind of just immersion of what content creation is that when it used to be known as when I guess like the content creator spectrum or world was more so under the influencer blanket, everyone always thought about it as like, whoa, influencers are these really far to reach people. They have millions or hundreds of thousands of followers. I remember when I started following some of my favorite content creators and influencers, 5, 6, 7 years ago. When I first started out, people don't actually know this. I was my wife was just laughing at my original page. I have a different Instagram page. I
Oh.
know, yeah, that nobody really knows about. I started it way, way, way back in the day, and I was initially a travel and photography creator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yep, and I had this whole thing. I remember I ran a contest like years back to like travel with me because I had all these credit card points. I had people enter. Like I was a travel creator before travel creators really were a thing, but I was just doing it for fun and not really to gain a following. And so it wasn't something that I was too consistent at. I was taking pictures, I was putting them out, and I was like, I just enjoy doing this. And so when we think about the evolution of things, right
I was
back
gonna
then,
I
go
have a
ahead.
curiosity. Wait, I have to
Yeah.
ask. So, what made you decide to not just run with that, like, and make something new?
Yeah, you know what? When I first, started, really growing that platform, I thought about just making that like almost my photography passion page. And that was originally my like original Instagram. So it has all my like high school and college photos on it and that I still
So
haven't
you were
deleted.
using it personally too. Like you had
Yeah,
like okay,
yes, right. And so when I
okay.
actually created my new page was like a way to separate from that a little bit and just kind of focus on, more about, I guess, like two different sides of me. My artistic side, the part that was more curated, and then the part that is just like my life. I could take a picture of, I don't know, my right hand and put it up. You know what I mean? So you know how you have an Insta and a Finsta?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just turned out that my Finsta ended up becoming my real Insta.
Oh,
Once I
that's
kind of,
crazy.
yeah, I know. Once I gained an actual platform through reality TV, um, most people found my what was at that point my Finsta, and now it is my Instagram. So it
That's
is what
so
it is.
funny.
But when I was coming through, I was following guys. I remember like there was a guy named Eric Rubin, or Eric Rubes, something like that. There were a lot of those influencers within the like photography and art space that I really idolized. And at that point in time, they had, 3, 4, 500,000 followers. And now they're all in the millions because they were the originals. But
Hmm.
at that point in time, no one else was close to that. Right.
Yeah,
No.
people don't understand. Like pre TikTok, it was not normal to have like hundreds of thousands of followers as a content creator. If you were a
Yeah.
celebrity or you had been on reality TV or something like that, then sure, maybe. But
Yeah.
like pre TikTok, the expectation was not for you to be viral with millions of views and have hundreds of thousands of followers. It was just
Yeah.
different, especially on a platform like Instagram. So I love that you
Yeah.
said that, because I feel like people don't really talk about that. Like we've normalized the hyper reach and followers, but that
Hmm.
wasn't always how it was.
Exactly. And I like that is completely a different way of, or a different side of what reality TV is, or sorry, but social media. I was talking to somebody just a couple days ago who said my season of Love is Blind was the only season that they watched. And I was like, oh, why is that? Like, that's such a random season because, this person's based in New York. And they were like, oh, I don't like that was the first time that I had seen this show pop up on TikTok. Right. Like,
Oh,
social media changed the game of what it is to have reach and access. And TikTok was the first one to really create hyper viralized content for everyone to be like, oh, I just want to go see this, or I want to follow this person. And so, yeah, it is really interesting seeing how social media has developed. It was very much so a very small portion of people who had access to so many things, and going viral was not normal. Someone couldn't just put up a video on their Instagram and wake up to a million
right.
views, but now that is what it is. So I think it's really cool that now everyone has access to these things. And, you have people who are everyday people who have 5,000, 10,000 followers
True.
who just can put something out and people can all appreciate it, and they can even gain a small brand deal from it. Right. So I think
Yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah. But with that being said, you started with this mindset of becoming a travel creator, and now it feels like you have more of like your lifestyle and things as
Mhm.
well, right? You've incorporated who you are. How have you seen that journey? Like, how did you see yourself transitioning into this everything type of creator, and like, where do you see your brand going from here?
Big questions, but things that I ask myself often.
Yeah.
Um, so actually, it was in 2020 during the pandemic, and I had already been starting to feel this, that I was not burned out from travel, but that I didn't want it to be my whole identity and to get
Hmm.
too like far pigeonholed. And also, just to be transparent, since we're on a creator podcast,
Hmm.
especially at that time, travel creators were like the lowest paid on the totem
Mm.
pole,
Yeah.
because you have so many people that are just excited to go somewhere for free. So
Yeah.
already, like, not convincing, but like just setting the tone with brands that no, this is work, it's not a vacation. So once I
Hmm.
arrive, you're still contracting me for deliverables, etc. Like,
Yeah.
it was, all of that was tiring. Like
Hmm.
when I learned that in other categories, it wasn't the same struggle to just get
Hmm.
paid decently, etc. And
Yeah.
so and also at the same time, I have other passions too.
Hmm.
Beauty, fragrance,
Hmm.
entertainment. I wanted to get into hosting. And so I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit, but I was really scared. And then when the pandemic happened,
Hmm.
we couldn't travel at all. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is kind of, I mean, this is like an excuse
Hmm.
to try other things, and no one's going to judge me. I was really afraid of being judged for
Yeah.
trying to change what I was doing.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, people actually loved it. They were like, oh, well, I always wondered how you keep your hair natural when you travel, or
Hmm.
I always wondered about how you keep up your skincare routine and things like that. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so people do actually see me as a person. It was
Hmm.
just, I was too self-conscious to really try to even, I don't know, play into any of that. So
Yeah.
um yeah, that was when I pivoted, and it worked.
Hmm.
And also financially, it was what the other influencers were saying it was on that
Yeah.
side of things.
Hmm.
um and so I just became one girl, one world, like lifestyle.
Yeah.
Travel is a part of a lifestyle. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
us, even as you were saying, like, travel and you do photography, like you travel
Hmm.
and you travel just to eat. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be just one thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you hit a really good spot as a creator when you realize that your niche branches out into other niches. You know,
Mhm.
I always say like the people who have the most loyal following are the people who are their brand within themselves as opposed to something that they do. You know, and I feel like streamers have a really big head up already when it comes to engagement and like
Oh,
community loyalty, right? When you look at streamers, I always check this out. Streamers, if a streamer has 100,000 followers, they're probably getting 10 to 15, maybe 20,000 likes per post, right? Yeah, right.
wow.
10 to 20% engagement is crazy. It's
Crazy.
unheard of,
Yeah.
right? But when people see posts from streamers, it's just them acknowledging this person that they talk, they listen to and they watch all the time. That person is the brand, right? So they fit into every type of niche. Streamers have a consistent conversation with their community all the time. They're answering, right? When you are someone who, and I'm not saying like, hey, go start a stream, but when you are someone who is on social media on any medium, like when you think about Instagram, your ability to connect with your community is like your bandwidth is based off of, how many comments you can respond to or how many
Yeah.
messages you can reply to, right? But when you're a streamer, you basically are replying to your community for your whole bit of content. You're
Oh, like in real
dedicating
time.
in real time. You have an hour or 2 hours or whatever, and you are dedicating that to literally connecting with your community. Right. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
really,
true.
yeah, it's really like I feel like the next wave, and I mean it already is the wave, but essentially like as we go forward, I feel like everyone will start to try to make their content more real time and more accessible to their community, basically able to have engaging conversations on the go, right? And that's kind of become the big thing. So I know personally streaming is something that I want to start doing pretty soon.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes, I would love
On
to.
which platform?
So I've this was a question for a long time, like which direction do I go? And I was thinking of YouTube or Twitch or Kick or whichever one it would be. And I think I settled on Twitch just because one, it has the most. Well, YouTube has the most active users, right, out of all of them, but you can actually monetize directly from your followers on Twitch, whereas YouTube doesn't typically. Um, and I don't know if that's changed recently, but as of my research, you have the best monetization capability on Twitch. When you reference like the size of users, the size of the database of people on Twitch, reference that with how much people are paying for subscriptions, how quickly and accessible you are in terms of being able to just like send a tip or whatever, right? And it's not all about money, but when I think about it long term, if I want to be on a place where I want to focus on growing a following and being able to be profitable in a year, 2 years, 3 years, I just think the best place to go is Twitch. It feels to me like the originator of real streaming. When you initially thought about streaming, you were like, when streaming became a thing and it was cool, it was like Ninja, this guy who played Fortnite, right? And like that was on Twitch, right? So I feel like the originators of stream really started heavy on Twitch. That's where streaming became cool, and then everybody else got into it. When you think about like now, the most followed person um, is it's Speed and Kai Cenat, but like in terms of following and subscription, it's Kai Cenat by far because he's on Twitch, whereas Speed's default account is YouTube. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
although he has the most followers, he doesn't necessarily have monetization through the followers. He just gets a lot of really big brand deals. But when you do like the correlation between followers and revenue through streaming, it's Kai Cenat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I found out how many, this was a while ago, so maybe it's doubled, tripled, or what have you. But
yeah,
when I first found out about him and they were like, yeah, he has X amount of paid subscribers, I was like, well, how much is he charging for a subscription? And I
yeah,
did the math and I was like, do I need to like get on to, but also it's like got to be authentic to you too. Like
yeah,
I personally wouldn't like just hop on it just to hop on it, but I think
yeah.
if streaming is something that you're aspiring to do anyway, like it
Hmm.
definitely makes sense to go with whatever's going to be the most profitable like potential long term.
Yeah. Right. And that's the way that I think about it. So, yeah, I guess like all this to say, I feel like the best way to really get the most engagement from your community, like, is to be your brand. Right. And then you can branch
Mm,
out from there. Right. It was cool that you found, like, you initially started with travel, but realized like there's all these other aspects of travel that fit into my life that make me who I am. And yeah, introducing those different aspects can bring different parts of my community closer. So I think that's really cool. Now, we'll shift a little bit to, I guess, like focusing on how you've had access to all these really cool opportunities, right? So for the creators who are out there now who maybe are, losing a bit of faith in
mm,
actually getting cool opportunities like others, and maybe starting to see that there's a bigger saturation, because I know this is an area that a lot of people see. It's like everyone wants to be a creator now.
yeah.
It is the thing to do. But what a lot of people don't realize is that, like, content creation is only getting bigger. If there are more creators, there's going to be more brands seeing the relevance within content creation. Therefore, there's going to be more money allocated to
Yeah.
content creators. So the money will only get more as we find more content creators. We haven't hit that max yet to where we've plateaued and we're starting to go downwards. I still feel like there's a massive incline going upwards. So um obviously a lot of positive things there, and you're doing well. So I'd love if you could share a little bit about how you get your opportunities, with your following.
Yeah, so I think really the publicist in me,
Yeah.
really, that's why I value relationships so much.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize it until I was like reflecting on it,
Yeah.
that it's something that I'm actually very intentional about, that I think a lot of creators are not. I think
Yeah.
actually, you know what? I will say, I know a lot of creators are not focused on that, because most creators dream of having management. Like that's
Mm.
like their number one goal. Like, oh, I just wish I had a manager so that
Yeah.
they could load off like all of the dealing with clients and brands,
Hmm.
etc.
Hmm.
And I've always actually been kind of like the opposite, like afraid
Yeah.
to get management, because then I lose control over those relationships. And
Mm.
I've heard so many horror stories actually of creators that have been blackballed, not because the creator is bad, but because this person that's
Mm.
representing you and is like the middleman in that relationship did something that the
Yeah.
brand didn't like. And so they're just like, if I have to deal with this person to get to this creator, I don't even want to do it. And so that
Yeah.
terrifies me. And so, yeah, so I think something that's really helped me to have like repeat clients or to just be on the radar and in the know is that I'm not afraid to reach out, not afraid to send a cold pitch or to follow up, and to not get discouraged when it's not an instant yes. And just to continue to still stay in touch with the person, maybe add them on LinkedIn, because you just
Mm.
genuinely never know. You never
Yeah.
know what will come in the future, and you want to just stay top of mind and have people think
Hmm.
of you. So, and I think it's more important now than ever because it's so saturated. Like back in the
Hmm.
day, which is only like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
uh, you could just tag a brand and they would
Yeah.
reach out and be like, hey, we saw your story. Would love to send you like a refill of this product. Or, hey, would
Yeah.
love to get your email so we can put you on a campaign. Now, like 50,000 people are tagging them a day and they just
Yeah.
they don't even bother. But
Yeah.
if you get their email and then you say, hey, here's a link to the reel that I made featuring the product, it's a more direct situation. You'll be more memorable. So for
Yeah.
me personally, I think that's what has gotten me this far, is just
Yeah.
being human and like really wanting to connect with the people behind the brands and the agencies.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. And I think networking and just talking to people I feel like it's such an underrated thing. You know what
So
I'm saying?
underrated.
So
Yeah.
underrated. People feel like there always has to be this really important business setup in order for something to actually happen, when in actuality, just like saying what's up to someone can change so much. I currently have a brand that is sending me a pair of customized Nikes, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, because we were at um, social media week actually in New York, and I saw these two girls with these really sick, um, like pizza Nike Dunks, and I was like, "Yo!" I looked at them, I was like, "Those are sick, right?" They had like really cool colors, and then they had like like a little picture of pepperonis like right around like the way that it came together. I think they were probably one of the coolest dunks that I'd ever seen. So I just looked at them. I was like, yo, those are really cool shoes. And so I invited them to a happy hour that we were holding later that day. And that was just like the start of the conversation. And then we chat a little bit at the happy hour as well. And then I think it was like maybe a week later, I got an ad on LinkedIn. And it was just like, hey, Kwame, like, really enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad that you like the shoes. We'd love to get you a pair. Right.
I love that. That's so
Right.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super cool. So I'm super excited to get them. But all of that just started from like a, hey, like, those are cool. Right. And so I actually have another. I have a hat somewhere in here as well where I did like a little trivia at Social Media Week, and then the brand Andar came up to me afterwards, and they were like, "Hey, we're just giving these hats out to panelists that we really enjoyed," and boom, like I had the hat, and then funny enough, that same day, there's these people that go around New York, and they do like the hey, like, what are you wearing? Tell us about what you do,
Oh,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah. Yeah, I know you've seen those before.
Mm.
I had it was tell us about what you do. And it just so happened, and he was like, yeah,
Oh.
I love your fit. Tell me a little bit about it. And it just so happened I had the hat on. So I told him, and it was, pretty decent size. It was like, I forget what the exact at was or the exact handle was, but, he had about 600,000 followers, and he's pretty big in New York.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and boom, right there, I gave the little plug to Andar, and now Andar gets a free plug on that page. So it's just basic relationship building ends up
Yeah.
turning into really cool things. So like that's a bit of advice I'd give to any creator is like go talk to people, right? And that later, we have a cohort that we're continuously growing of creators called the Later Creator Club, right?
Oh,
And
cool.
so yeah, so we love to have events with them, bring them out, and at these events they could be either panels or just like just a happy hour, or maybe go to a baseball game or whatever the case. But it's an opportunity for creators to get face to face with brands, and like it might be a learning experience, but it also could just be a networking experience. You could end up really just connecting and taking it from there. So I say get as much face time with brands and marketers as you possibly can, and just like go into it with just having a good time and having good intention, and great things could come out of it.
I feel like Cannes was a really good example of that. And Cannes was actually, me doing that. And
Yeah.
I posted like a lot of the stuff people want to see, like the celebrities and Serena Williams and all that. But really, the most value for me was talking to people and networking. Like that was more exciting to me than seeing the celebrities on the Quasette or whatever the like buzzy stuff is. And yeah, I go to conferences too, like for in the travel space when I was
Yeah.
really building my brand and like recognition. I would go, and a lot of my travel campaigns came from meeting people in real life
Wow.
and talking to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot.
Well, yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. I think obviously the pandemic really, really lifted up what our digital presence is and how we connect digitally. And now that we get a lot more in-person opportunities, I do feel like it's now an opportunity for people to bring that digital presence into reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you could connect with a brand by tagging them, but being at as many in-person things as you can is definitely a big game changer. Now, if we were to talk about the opportunities that you've gotten, maybe we'll get a little bit more in depth and talk a bit more finances. Is that cool with you?
Let's see. Depends on
Well,
how we're talking.
yeah, right. So I mean, I'll give you an easy one, right? I think for all of us, we have that one big break that we're like, whoa, there's money in this.
Okay.
And you don't have to give the exact number. If you want to, you can.
Okay.
But I guess like these are two questions that I really want to ask. One, what was your first paid brand deal? And then,
Ooh.
yeah. And then two, what's been your biggest brand deal? And you can give us kind of a cloudy kind of look at it if you don't want to get too specific.
Okay, so the first one was definitely like $500. I don't remember what it was for, but it was back in, I think, 2018. So at the time, that was like, wow, this is not bad, and
Yeah.
I can't believe someone's willing to give me this kind of money, like,
Hmm.
especially since I really didn't know if it was possible to be paid from making content back then. It wasn't something
Yeah.
everybody was talking about like they do now.
Hmm.
And what's funny, actually, just to like carry on with relationships, building relationships with people, was I thought $500 was like, wow, that's exciting. And I
Yeah.
had lunch with another influencer,
Hmm.
and she was so sweet and so just like open and frank. And she was like, oh yeah, my rate's $1,000 and it goes up every
Yeah.
year. And I was like, double?
Yeah.
Like $1,000 was a lot back then, which
Yeah.
and pre-inflation and everything. And just
Yeah.
knowing that like somebody, and we had the same exact following. She
Wow.
was making double and asking for double. And so I started asking for more, and then I would find out how
Mm.
much other people make. But I would have never even known that even that much was possible if I wasn't like having lunch with other creators and like building relationships. So
Yeah.
just wanted to like put that out there. And then
Yeah.
the largest, let's say it was five figures, let's say
Okay.
between 10 and 20.
Okay. All right. That's that's a little something. I
between
think.
Let's say between 15 and 20.
Okay. There
Yeah.
we go. We can get a little bit more specific.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I always think like, you know, say salary transparency and just like revenue transparency can be helpful, right? Because I didn't really know what my value was as a creator until I partnered with an agency. And I think it's interesting that you say like you don't partner with agencies, like, and I 100% respect that. And I think that you're doing a great job, kind of within that space and pioneering and figuring out how you can do it on your own. And I think there's a lot of ways to go about it. When I started, I went right into agency, and then I realized, you know what, I might want to do this by myself for a little bit. And I tried that as well. And then now I have a little bit that I do myself. And then I also have two non-exclusive agencies that I work with. I initially, and this is the advice that I give to people, if you have the ability to, I'd say start non-exclusive, and just kind of like that way the agency doesn't own your soul.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because I think that's
That's good
where,
advice.
yeah, I feel like that's where a lot of people mess up. And, because of that, like whenever anyone or any brand tries to reach out to you and they need to talk to this person, if that person, like you said, severs the relationship, it then severs the connection to you. I've had a situation where I had like it was a 35K offer. And someone went and found that for me on a, someone that I worked with for maybe about a month on a non-exclusive setup. But it came from me interacting and tagging the brand. And then that, the person saw it and then reached out. But that 35K started as, a certain list of deliverables that I actually thought were okay. But the person / agency didn't think they were okay. Right. And they were like, they're asking for too much. And I'm like, in all honesty, if someone's giving me 35K and wants me to show up to one event along with, post some stuff on my page, I'm personally okay with that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to think like, we're talking about, I love the networking aspect of it. I'm happy to go meet the brand, meet the people who
Yeah.
created it, work with them. Right. Like that's really important to me. Like it gives me an opportunity to connect. And they're like, nah, I don't think you should do that, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, we lost out on the contract in total. Right. And that's when I was right. I know that's 35K disappeared. And I think that was a really important lesson for me. Right. It was like, all right, there has to be a way for me to have an agency or agencies that I work with, but also be able to represent myself. And that's why I think the non-exclusive was really powerful, because now I make sure that I'm on the threads for the conversations, right? Like it's a non-negotiable for me, right? And
that's important. Yeah.
yeah, right. Because I think it's been good for me to allow the agencies to discuss, rates and budget and things like that. I think that that's actually been helpful for me, because I've had brands reach out and offer, let's say for me, I've had a brand reach out and offer 7,500. Right. And my agency was able to negotiate the 12,000, where I usually would have probably been like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's definitely a cool benefit through it. But I think it really has to be a good positive relationship, you have to have a great relationship with your agency, and you also have to know a lot about them and how they represent themselves as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So there's a
When you
lot that goes
say
into it.
when you say non-exclusive,
Hmm.
can you explain that a little bit? Because actually, I've don't think I've know anyone who has been able to pull that off with an agency.
Yeah. Well, basically, I think the important thing is like I started out getting brand deals, offers, and emails by myself, right? So it was important to establish to any agency that wanted to work with me that, hey, I can do this without you. I don't necessarily need you. And I also, obviously, I'm in the industry, so I have the knowledge to understand how these things work. And so I had an agency that wanted me to be exclusive, but I knew that every single conversation that I would have, and also obviously my wife also has her own agency, right? And so I thought about the fact that if I was to ever do a brand deal with my wife, my an exclusive
Oh,
agency would also have access to that conversation and also still get part of that fee, right?
oh
So
wow. Okay, yeah,
it,
I see what you mean. Yeah, wow. Yeah.
exactly. So it's really important to think about exclusivity with an agency just means that literally everything that happens has to be run through them, and
Mhm.
non-exclusivity means that there's still you basically work on a it feels like a W-9 situation for them as well, right? Where it's like you are only involved in the contracts that you are involved in. You are basically being contracted per brand deal that I do,
Oh, that's
right?
great.
Yeah,
That's that's you figured it out. That's the way to go.
yeah, 100%. I think that that's the way to go. I think sometimes brands they'll charge you a little bit more commission to go non-exclusive so that they'll kind of push you to go exclusive. But
Mm,
if I'm personally, like, if I'm being honest, I would rather give an extra 5% to a brand to not be exclusive, because like when I think about my two agencies that I currently work with non-exclusively, both of them have brought me about 50% of my revenue, right? On
wow.
each side, right? And so like they're very even. If I was to cut one of them off, I could imagine
Mm,
not having that whole amount. So hypothetically speaking, if I've made $200,000 this year, both of them have brought in around 100K, right? Whereas if I was just to go with one, I would still be at that 100K. So that was something that I made sure that I would establish within the conversations that I have. Is like, hey, based on the kind of conversations that I have, who I am, how often I'm, out in the world in social media, how often I'm, at conferences and things,
mm.
I'm going to get offers. I'm going to get emails. I'm going to get conversations. And y'all are allowed to work these conversations, but I decide who's working what. And so
Got it.
it's worked out for me so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just kind of kick over your like a each conversation you choose to whichever.
Yeah, I think like there's a few ways that I kind of factor in and think about it, but ultimately I have, a brand that I work with, I feel like on larger scale deals, where it's going to be maybe long-term partnerships. And then I have another one that I feel like is really good with negotiating contracts that come in small, right?
Mm,
And so that's kind of how I look at it. And I also like they have two very, very distinct images as agencies, and I feel like that works for me, right? I have one that has a very um cultural, like very BIPOC focused outlook on the way that they handle it. It's not kind of an exclusive thing where like you can't be within the agency if you're not a BIPOC creator, but it started within those roots, right? And so a
that's
lot of the
great.
a lot of the cool things and activations I get to do with them involve me getting an opportunity to meet with other Black creators or Latin creators or things like that. And I think that forming community within any aspect of it is really important, right? When I went to Cannes, I met other Ghanaian creators, and I was like, I'd never met other Ghanaian content creators. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was really cool. And then I have another agency, which they're very flashy. They have very large talent, right? Like they have talent out there that has 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, K followers, or 5 million followers on social platforms. And so they kind of like, they look at things a little bit differently than my other agency would. And I respect so much about both of them in a way. And so I know what kind of conversations I think make sense for them. And it's been working really, really well. And they both understand how that relationship goes. I keep it very transparent. I'm like,
That's
hey,
awesome.
yeah, I'm like, hey, this is what I do with you guys, and this is what I do with you guys. And I want you both to know that, and I hope that's okay.
I
Yeah.
love that. See, now I'm like, I'm going to keep that in mind. Now I know what else is possible. I never would have thought that you could
Yeah.
have
Well,
two non-exclusive agents. So
yeah. Yeah. And I think most agencies, like I said, will try to push against that because they want to make sure that the growth path with you is something that like you're harnessing, and as you are growing and as you are working on your brand, they're reaping the benefits as well and they're helping you. And I think that makes a lot of sense. But within my category of creator, which is social celebrity, like the way that we grow is a little bit different from a niche creator, right?
yeah, that makes
And
sense. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna grow on my own terms, it feels like, as opposed to someone who is specific within their niche and growing their audience based off of what they do. And so yeah, kind of just explaining that to both, it ended up working out. So yeah, I think it's very achievable. And if you'd ever love to talk to either of the brands, or sorry, either of the agencies that I work with, I'd be happy to introduce you. It's
Oh,
always good
great.
to have a conversation and see how it goes, and then decide from there.
Yeah. All about, yeah, you just, everything can be a conversation. Doesn't have to
Yeah,
be more than
yeah,
that, really.
exactly. And I think like that's the cool thing about it the with both the agencies that I have, especially like I said with the um more cultural like agency that I have, a lot of the stuff like it's just networking and experiences. You know what I'm saying? And so like, hey, like let's just connect for the sake of if we're in the same place, these cool things like, they all went to Essence Fest
Mhm.
together, right? Like, and what I thought was really cool, when we were in Cannes, they did a meet and like a little event with Black Girl Digital, right? And so
Oh,
yeah,
I went
right.
to, I went to that.
Really? So my one agency, Society 18. Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Pamela, right?
exactly. Yep.
I see,
Yeah,
because I know everybody.
exactly. Right. And they've been a fantastic agency. But yeah, I mean, it's literally just like, even if I wasn't working with them at a higher capacity, like Pam just always sends me stuff and is like, hey, I'm going to be here. This is going to happen. You should come. So I think like the networking of it all is really cool, and like knowing some agencies, knowing what they're out there, what they're doing, and you're really good at finding these things yourself. If you ever decide to like branch off into agencies to like understand and just build your network but still do your own thing, like there's so many there that you could talk to.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at some point I will. It's definitely not something, I don't want to negotiate my own deals and everything for the rest of
Yeah,
my life, but
yeah.
definitely in the building stages, that's something
Hmm.
that's been important to me. And I think it's been good too, because now I understand pretty thoroughly
Yeah,
how things are supposed to work. And
yeah,
so I could hand it off to someone now and be able to recognize if something's not making sense, not adding up, or
yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm on an email chain and it's looking like things are going in the wrong direction. Like I actually now know
yeah.
what that looks like. So
Yeah, yeah, no, that's great. I think you've got a great handle on it. I mean, with that being said, obviously we've talked a lot about a lot of the things that go into content creation. But I think I'd love to dive, as we kind of round this out, into your process just a little bit, right? As a creator, how do you come up with your content? Are you somebody who loves to look at a trend and maybe join in, or do you think that you're someone right? How do you go about it?
I wish I could be like one of those trend hoppers, because it
Yeah,
really works for some people,
yeah.
but it's harder than it looks. Anytime I
Hmm.
try to like hop on a trend real quick, I realize really quickly, like, oh, this is not, it's not as cute and easy as it looks, even if it's only a
Yeah.
few seconds. So
Hmm.
I would say I'm not so much that. I really am a storyteller. And so a lot of my ideas for content just come to me.
Hmm.
And as far as process, now I use ChatGPT to help me really organize everything, because
Hmm.
that's what I've always struggled with.
Yeah.
And even to the point of like not getting an assistant, even though at times I know I could really use it. I'm not even organized. I haven't even been organized enough to be able to like tell somebody what they
Yeah.
can do to help me. And so
Mm.
ChatGPT has been an amazing resource because you can just spit like everything at it and it will
Mm.
really, like, even for Can, I came back with like so many ideas, like 20
Yeah.
ideas, just feed it everything. And it's got
Yeah.
it like organized in a chart. What have I filmed already? What have I not filmed? How can I
Wow.
take this concept and apply it to my tone of voice on LinkedIn versus
Mm.
Instagram versus a TikTok caption?
Yeah.
So that's been a huge, huge help in my process,
Yeah.
just of creating content. And it's not like it's going to create it for me. It's
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people are still scared that AI is going to replace the creator. I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
whole other topic. But
Yeah.
in this case, it's really just an assistant.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think the tagline that I always think about is like, and even when we pair it with like marketers or whatever, and now you compare it to creators, like, is like AI is not going to take your job, but someone using AI will, right? And
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's there to help us a lot, but I don't think it's there it cannot make those decisions unless you give it the data to do so. Yeah. So, no, I think that's really cool. But, I think we're coming up to kind of the end of this. We've actually gone past, I think, what the allotted time was,
Oh,
but I think we're
dang.
having a good conversation. So, we're gonna end it off with a couple little this or that moments, right? We're gonna give you a little bit of rapid fire and you let us know a little bit about why you make your choices. So this is the way that it goes. Let's just say I say Instagram or TikTok. You give me, TikTok, and you give me just a one sentence about why you picked it. Does that sound like a good idea to you?
Okay. Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
So we're gonna start off with that question exactly: Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram, because I still don't know if TikTok is going to get banned or not. I feel like I'm the only person still worried about that, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
concerned.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And it shows in the ways that brands are paying out because they feel like Instagram is a forever tool, right? And so they'll always have their ad up, but with TikTok, it might fade away in a year or so. So, with that being said, would you rather do reels or create carousels?
Ooh. As an OG Instagrammer, I'm going to say carousels. I love
Okay.
photos.
Yeah. All right. Well, when it comes to brand deals, would you rather do a short term or a long term?
Ooh. Everybody says long term
Mm,
because of the money, which is fair.
yeah.
Um, but I also see the value. Okay, it's supposed to be rapid fire one answer.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Let it all out.
Oh God, I was gonna say, but one thing about short term is you get to see if it's a fit, and then if it is a fit,
Mm,
then you can go long term.
yeah. I like that answer a lot. So, last question for you. What's your dream brand partnership? And this one you can go into it as much as you want.
Oh, okay. So I am obsessed with perfume. There's this
Mm,
fancy French perfume house called Guerlain, and it's
mm,
and my dream would be to like go see the factory, talk to the perfumers, and then go to the south of France and pick the
yeah.
flowers and smell and
Wow.
maybe do like a documentary. That's it's so random. Like I feel like I'm
Yeah.
probably the only person who would say that, but
Yeah.
that's like my dream.
Okay. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of the rapid fire, I think that we're good there. But before we do end, I'd love to know where you think content creation is going as a whole, and ideally for you, what's your next big milestone?
Ooh, okay. So for me, my next big milestone, actually, I'm building creators at Can right now. So I started
Okay.
a community and blueprint, like a guide to Can for content creators, pretty much
Very cool.
immediately after Can Lions. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed the event and I see the potential for it to grow into this hub for content creators in the future. So
Yeah.
trying to pioneer that right now.
Yeah.
So that's a big priority. And then the future of content creation. Wow. I mean, I think what's kind of exciting about it is that it's getting so broad. Like
Hmm.
interested in going into Twitch. Meanwhile, like I I don't watch Twitch like at all. But there are people who are like millionaires on there.
Mhm.
Substack, TikTok, Threads, like you
Yeah.
name it.
Mhm.
I think we're going to move away from being like a star, a one platform star, into just however you like to consume content. Like those are the
Yeah.
people that you're going to rock with.
Yeah. That's a really good answer. Obviously, I think one of the questions we ask at some point is the emerging platforms, and you mentioned like Substack. I think that's a really cool one. Um, and yeah, I think Substack is so much more unique and interesting and multifaceted than a lot of people know. So I think that's a cool platform to check out. But with that being said, Francesca, I think we're just about at our end. I mean, I know I've asked you a ton of questions, but to leave you with just one thing, I mean, like, what would you like to leave our audience with? Do you have any, either quote or an idea or final thought? How would you want to leave your last impression with our Beyond Influence audience?
Follow me at One Girl One World.
Ain't no
Across
shame in the
all
game.
social media platforms.
I love that. Honestly, that's a great way to do it. Always be promoting. Always be promoting. So, yes, Francesca, thank you so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed the conversation. Obviously, we went to a whole lot of interesting things. So, we appreciate you. And I know that the audience is really going to love the conversation. So, yeah, we were excited to have you. Thank you so much. And to the rest of our audience, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the conversation today. Until
Thank you for
then, we'll see
having
you next
me.
time. Yeah, for sure. Bye bye.
Mhm.